tell us one of your coffee no cream moments.
They'd book me, we'd send them the invoice, and they'd pay me, not knowing who I was, what I looked like.
I just want to note, your name is Karen Donaldson, more of an Anglo name.
I went up to the front desk and I said, "Hi, my name is Karen Donaldson. I'm here to see ABC." Can't share the name, ABC. She picked up the phone and she said, "Hi, Mr. XXX. There's a black woman who said she's Karen Donaldson who's here to see you."
Girl, no.
Boom.
Today we have Karen Donaldson, CEO of the brands Karen Donaldson Inc., the Global Confidence Academy, and Panache Peak Performance, North America's leading communication, confidence, and peak performance coach. Karen's clients call her their secret weapon and a force to be reckoned with. A highly sought-after international TV personality, Karen is the official body language expert for Women's Health magazine, NBC's Bloom TV, and is a regular expert for national media across North America and Europe. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you for having me, Erin. Thank you.
Thank you. So just tell the people, I read the bio, but tell the people what it is you do. Just
Absolutely. Layman's terms, you heard the long intro. Love it. Thank you. That's technically what I am. But in truth, here's what I do. I show people I retool people so they can be more comfortable in their own skin. So they have the capacity to show up with more confidence in any setting, any situation, and start to truly say what they think. Right? That's a communications and confidence piece. So really owning their confidence. And when it comes to the peak performance side of things, I help people create a blueprint so they can show up at 100% on demand instead of, waiting on chance or thinking they need to have this in place for them to show up at full capacity. So in short, that's what I do.
All right. Very cool. Very impressive. Karen is like our guest celebrity. So, okay. So with that very impressive position that you hold in your own organizations, you come across a lot of corporations, you meet with companies, you meet with individuals, you meet with celebrities, athletes, all sorts of people to help them with their confidence, which makes her the ideal candidate to share with us her coffee no cream moment. Now, for those of you who are just joining us for the first time, a coffee no cream moment is one of those moments that happens to us women in business just because we are Black. And we usually don't have to say anything to one another. We just kind of know it is what it is. But our goal here is to share those coffee no cream moments with one another to help uplift and encourage and figure out how to navigate through them. So I'm going to give it over to Karen. I'm going to let her take over and share with us her coffee no cream moment, and then we're going to talk about it. So Karen,
yes.
Tell us one of your coffee no cream moments, because we know there have probably been many. I know there have been in my life. Okay. So share with us your coffee no cream moment.
Oh, indeed. So the one that I want to share, because yes, indeed, there have been dozens, was this one. So when I started in the area of communications, and it continued to happen, but I just want to preface it, it started here and it still happens today. My name is Karen Donaldson, so everyone's got that. My full name's Karen Donaldson. And when it comes to corporate communications, I'm a C-suite level communications coach. Body language communication, I can help them master it. Now, when I started as a communications coach, here's how I got my first client. So just preface it so I can tell you about my coffee no cream moment. I had someone that I worked with. Right? They were in another company, another CEO in another company. I was not a CEO, I was a senior level employee at a health partnership. And we were at an event. I was receiving an award on behalf of my organization, and I gave a short speech. My friend, colleague came over to me, a Caucasian male, CEO of his company, came over and he said, "Okay, Karen, who did your company hire to help you speak like that?" And I laughed because he didn't know that I did this on the side. So in short, he hired me as his communications coach. CEO hired me. he improved substantially, right? Nonetheless, I started to become referred. So what would happen is executive assistants of other C-suite executives, so COOs, CSOs, CEOs, they used to call my office, my assistant, at the time it was just me, then my assistant, and say, hey, we would like to book Karen Donaldson for, at that time I had a 3-day communications workshop and I had a 3-week one. And they'd book me, we'd send them the invoice and they'd pay me, not knowing who I was, what I looked like, because someone referred me. So they saw my client, asked the client, they said, Karen's a person, they simply hired me. So here is my coffee, no cream moment.
Oh, wait. Before you go there, I just want to note, your name is Karen Donaldson.
Yes.
This is a completely, I'm not going to say it's a basic name, but it is a more of an Anglo name, right? You don't have, it's just like Aaron Braxton. I'm Aaron Braxton. I could be anything. And then when they talk to you, they don't know. So,
absolutely.
Okay, so they're completely blind.
Completely blind. So they know they've paid Karen Donaldson a ton load of money and they want to see the senior executive communications coach come in. So here is what happened. It was an apartment building, an office building. Went in, took the elevator up to the floor. I went up to the front desk. And the front desk was one of those desks where it's a little bit higher and the receptionist looks up at you and you can't see their computer. So that was a setting. And I said, hi, my name is Karen Donaldson. I'm here to see ABC. Can't share the name. ABC. Client ABC. So receptionist looked down, looked back up, and she said, are you Karen Donaldson? And I said, yes, I'm Karen Donaldson. I'm here to see client ABC. She's taking a bit long now, but got it, whatever. Organizations work how they work. I'm standing there still, just kind of leaning over, hands on top. She looks down again and she looks up and she said, are you Karen Donaldson's assistant? And I said, no.
Girl, what? No.
I'm Karen Donaldson. It gets better. So she looks down again and she looks back up and she said, is Karen being dropped off at the front? So once again, I told her I was Karen, told her I wasn't the assistant. She didn't believe me because, Karen Donaldson, as you shared, ambiguous. You don't know what to expect. And I want people to see this. This is all of me. This is how I show up. I am jewelry lover, jewelry queen. I will never make myself small for anyone. This is how I show up. I don't care who I'm coaching. You could be the prime minister, you get Karen Donaldson in her full effect. Right?
With so she said, her twists, her braids, all of it. Absolutely.
However I choose to rock it that month, that specific day is what you get, right? But nonetheless, she says Karen Donaldson being dropped off at the front. So I actually looked over to the front and I looked back and I said, I'm Karen Donaldson. And here's how I want to preface this. This has happened over and over. And I want to tell you the progression. The first time it happened to me, something similar, just, are you Karen Donaldson? That type of thing. I got so angry inside.
Okay, that's what I want to talk about. So before you get into that, that's the question. Like, in the moment, because most of us are going to get angry. Most of us are going to be like, look, girl, I said, but you don't want to go there. Right. We're trying to be professional. Right. We're not trying to play into the perceived stereotypes that we come with before we even enter the door or open our mouths. So obviously, you're going to be angry. You're going to be annoyed. You're going to be, as Black women, just ready to get this woman told and put in her place. So you're saying when this first started to happen to you, you were angry. Okay, go on.
I remember the first time. So you want me to touch on that or continue?
Yeah. So this is how it made you feel in the moment.
When I first encountered this was like I think this was the first or second time. I can vividly remember that in the most recent one. But nonetheless, this specific time, I looked down and I said to myself, Karen, are you going to give her a tongue lashing? Are you going to give her a piece of your mind? And I had to pause and literally just talk to myself and click myself and say, nope, you're here to do a job. What she thinks of you has nothing to do with you. But I was pissed. I was seething.
Obviously.
And, but at the same token, I'm like, okay, I'm here to work with a CEO. They paid my invoice. So this is when I'm a newer communications coach. The money is great and I need the money at that time.
Yes,
so,
of course.
In that instance, you want to maintain your professionalism. It was insulting. I felt freaking insulted. I literally felt insulted in that moment. But I had decided in that moment, I get to decide what happens next.
Okay. So what happened?
I looked up and said, no, I'm Karen Donaldson and I'm here to see XYZ. Right?
Right.
And then I sat down, and here's what the person did next. They picked up the phone and they called my client. And here's the other thing. I have never seen my client before. It was a referral, invoice sent, payment sent.
Right.
They didn't Google me, whatever. Right. You know, your colleague said that you're the person to go to, you just go. It's over, right? There's no research needed. She picked up the phone and she said, hi, Mr. XXX. There's a black woman who said she's Karen Donaldson who's here to see you.
Girl. No.
Boom. Yes,
okay,
did.
This is in, I want to tell everyone, Karen is Canadian. Was this in Canada?
Yes, it was in Canada.
Okay. So similar stuff, obviously,
Yes.
is happening.
It
Wow.
absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Okay. In that moment,
Right.
okay, you're probably even like triply pissed.
Right.
Because you've told this woman multiple times, I'm Karen Donaldson. This woman is questioning who you say you are. And then had the audacity to pick up the phone, call the man, and call out that you were black.
Black woman.
Girl.
Say I'm Karen Donaldson.
Okay.
At this point, I had sat down. She said to have a seat after I told her, well, I'm Karen, not waiting to
Was
be.
she trying to whisper?
She was trying to whisper, but there was no
Girl,
one else in
okay.
the waiting area. It's her and I. We can hear each other breathe. So she picked it up, and whatever she was doing, I heard it. And what happened after that, and so this actual instance, I was sharing a while ago how I felt and was upset. This actual incident was a little bit later, years later, when it kept happening. And when she picked it up, and she put down the phone, and she stood up and she said, okay, Mr. X and X will see you in XYZ boardroom. It's down the hall to the left, right, that type of thing is what she said next, right?
Okay.
So after I heard that, I stood up, and this went through my mind, and it always goes through my mind. I said to myself, you know what, I'm not here to serve her. Right. I know what I'm about. So I
Right.
can't, I won't, and I'm not willing to play into who she is as a person and her beliefs. Nothing to do with me. And I don't care. And I marched straight into the office to meet with my client.
No, okay, just to go back, this was a Caucasian woman, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and age about-ish, I'm just curious.
I would say at the time, like 40s, like upper 40s, probably 50, early 50s, that type of thing.
Okay. So you get to the boardroom.
I get to the boardroom, and before I opened the door, it was a larger boardroom, and one of those boardrooms where it was like frosted, but you could see the foot portion. Right? So I knew he was in there, and I walked in, and before I walked in, I had said to myself, so a little bit of a passage walking there, and I said to myself, okay, am I going to address him, tell him, be upset, that type of thing? And I said to myself, well, Karen, you do have a responsibility. That's what I said to myself. You do have a responsibility. Not to be rude, but like, how was I going to handle it? So I had seconds as I was walking. Like, what am I going to say? I'm here to do this job, but that wasn't okay. And that can't be happening, is what I said to myself. So I didn't dress her, walked down the hall, and when I went in, hi, Mr. So-so, I'm Karen Donaldson, nice to meet you. He was fine, cool, that type of thing. Now, what I said is, before we begin, I do want to let you know what just occurred. And I shared what happened. And I said, I'm sharing it with you because you get to handle it, and that's your employee. And hopefully that doesn't happen to any other people of color, so I'm leaving it with you. I had to get it off my chest. Like, I couldn't walk away with it. And it wasn't mine to handle, but I let him know what happened, that it wasn't okay, and if this is what she's doing to me, who else is she doing it to? And I left it, and then I did my work.
So when you said that, what was his response?
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I apologize on her behalf. I apologize. That shouldn't have happened. That's not okay. He reiterated what I said. I left it. Whether he seemed authentic when I said it. He was totally caught off guard. He's like, she said what? Right? But here's the other thing though. He didn't hear the part when she asked me if I was an employee, but he did pick up the phone when she said, there's a black woman here who said she's Karen Donaldson.
So
right?
he knew.
He knew, but a really cool guy. So, I mean, a really cool client. So we had the conversation. I left it. I didn't know him yet. He apologized. He said he'll handle it. And a few weeks later, we're working together for weeks. We had a conversation. He brought it back up again, right? So, but nonetheless, like for me, I knew it had to be handled though, because it wasn't okay.
Yeah.
right? In the beginning, I was like steaming mad, and later on, like now when I go in, and I have to, we'll go back here in a second, but I have to tell you what I do with it now and how I got there. I'll go in and someone says, are you Karen Donaldson? Because the other thing, you'll see me in my braids. This is my summer hair, and my summer hair has transitioned into my fall hair.
And Karen wants it to be summer all the time. She does not do winter.
I'm channeling summer, and yes, I live in Canada, and yes, it's minus 23 and 36 sometimes, but I'm channeling summer. So I usually have short hair, permed hair, but nonetheless, like this is me, this is who you get. And now when I walk in, and if they do, you're Karen Donaldson, that's what I get this time. You're Karen Donaldson, eyebrows up, that type of thing. This is what I do, Erin. I say, hold on one second. Girl, I walk away and I walk back and I say, yes, I'm Karen Donaldson. I have to play with it.
You know what?
I have to make it fun. I have to make it fun because I have to make it fun.
I love that.
I
love that. Okay. There's a lot to talk about here. All right. So let's go back to you felt like you had to address this guy. You had to tell him. Mm-hmm. And in the back of your mind, he knew, right? But what was your point in telling him because he knew? Was your intention that this made me feel uncomfortable and you wanted him to know that this is something that he might want to remedy? Because dude knew. He was on the other end of that phone.
Right. So here's, in the imminent moment, all those thoughts could not go through my mind. So
okay, yeah.
Just heard the lady. I'm walking down. I'm saying to myself, should I say something? Shouldn't I say something? Should I? Is it professional? So I was going back and forth. And as soon as I touched the door handle, I had to prep what I was going to say. Mm-hmm. After I said, Mr. So-and-so, I'm Karen Donaldson. Lovely to meet you. And we sat down. I set out my stuff, plugged in my laptop. And I said, before we get started, I just want to let you know. And my intention in truth was to get it off of my chest. Because I don't have control over what he's going to do. Right? I know how. At that time, I've worked with... The majority of my C-suite clients are male Caucasians. It is what it is. So I'll tell you, I love handling egos. I know how to manage them. I know how to manage them. So at that point, I needed to get it out of me and give it to you. Then it's yours to do whatever. I've learned to detach from it. Say what I say and detach and move on.
That's a good takeaway. Detach.
Yes.
Because you just felt like you needed to get that off of your chest. That's something you needed to do. You didn't handle it like we would want to handle it.
Correct.
Which we know what that way would be.
Yes. I didn't go there. No one got a tongue lashing. No one got words.
No. We are here in a place of business.
Indeed.
You kept it professional.
Indeed.
All right. So after you said that, how did that make you feel to say that?
It was over for me. Like when I said that to him, it was over for me. And here's the thing, like I've learned, you have to stop carrying this stuff. Like racism is not going away tomorrow. It's not going to go in my lifetime. In truth, I'm not saying we're never going to stop fighting against it and standing in our own right, but it's not going to disappear. It is what it is because we have no choice or no effect or no impact or control over how other people talk, respond, what they say, don't say. I get to have full control and ownership over what I say, I do, and I've decided to fully put my 100% focus and energy right here. Right. So when I got it out, I let it go. In essence that, of course, I shared it with my husband and my sisters and that type of thing. Yeah. Heck yeah, I brought it back home. However, it couldn't influence the work that I was doing with my clients, right? And when I saw that receptionist again, she was polite. I don't know what happened. It's not mine to manage, right?
So you did see her again?
I did see her again. So as I went in, hi, Miss Donaldson. Now she's polite and everything like that. Uh-huh. It was good to go. Did I, as I saw her, did I give her bad looks, that type of thing? No, because she's irrelevant to me.
Right.
In the greater scheme of things, I had to say she's irrelevant to me. She's not my client.
So I love this, and you're such a good storyteller. So you're answering a lot of the questions that I would just naturally ask you. So let me just say this, because there was a first time, and the first time that you handled it, you didn't do that whole make fun of it, take fun in this whole situation, because it is funny, right? I had something similar, not totally similar, but when you're flying business class and they try to, and you're going into it's like you both go through the same door, but business class to the right, coach to the left, right? And they try to like coach you, and then the guy's like still saying, no, that's business class.
Listen.
And I'm just like, oh, it's so funny. Interesting, isn't it? I'm business class. Surprising. You know, and then I just keep walking, but I don't get an attitude. I'm just like, yeah, it's so funny, right? You know?
Yeah, it's great to get there, isn't it? But it takes time to get there, and it takes a minute to get there.
Why am I trying to get this flight worker told? Nobody cares.
No.
But younger Aaron, I think more younger Aaron than younger Karen from knowing you, but younger Aaron would have needed some direction when this happened to me. I feel like you always know the right way to handle these things. It's not so easy for a lot of us. It really just isn't, because you want to scream it to the rooftops, but who is there to really tell? There's nobody to tell. Nobody really cares. We can come back and kiki it up with our family and our friends and, you know, all of that. But, you know, what is the point? So for younger Aarons in the world and Karens and all the younger Black women out there who are encountering this for the first time, because let me say, you know, part of my story is I grew up around white folks. I've been around white folks since as long as I can remember, from kindergarten all the way on through, and then ever after, right? A lot of us don't have to deal, and I say have to deal, and I don't mean that in a negative sense, but we don't really interact with Caucasians or people of other races until we become college students, or until we go away and start working in a professional setting, right? We don't have parents who come from corporate backgrounds who can properly prepare us. My mom was a school teacher and then a school principal. My dad had an auto body business in the hood. So I did not come prepared like our white counterparts on how to handle situations like this in a professional environment. So for those of us who need a little coaching and help on what to do in those situations, what would you give them as a younger person? You've said a little bit about detaching, but how do you get there? Because, you know, when that stuff happens the first time, you are just like shocked, like, what?
Indeed.
Wow. And then you think about it and you take it personally and all of the things.
Totally. And I mean, that first time, there was a first time for me. It doesn't matter how prepared we are on paper and we've read and we've conversed with someone. That first time will always slap you in the face.
Right in the
face, because it's unknown and it's real. So we've spoken about it, you've heard other people's experience, but when someone does it to you, you instantly get offended. Like, it's that first time, even if we have this conversation and people read books and listen to personal development audios, that first time, I'm Jamaican, we say clap you in your face is what we say.
Girl. Yeah, and it's shocking, it's painful, it's hurtful.
It really is.
It's all of the things. And we can try to put on these really, like, you know, tough exteriors and, you know, march through. But this stuff affects us in a way. This is the point of the podcast. It affects us. And we just haven't had a way to deal with it. So turning a negative into a positive. Share with us, you know.
A few steps.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So from that first time, so to prepare, because you can go and prepare, but once again, the real-time experience will be a real-time experience. It just is what it is, something you can't change. But as you go into this, you have to remember that what comes out of someone's mouth has very little to do with you. And it's hard to believe because they might say, Karen, you and your stupid XYZ braids and twists and XYZ. But you have to realize that what comes out of people's mouth is based on their experiences, their perceptions, their biases, what they do know, what they don't know, and their ignorance. And here is the biggest piece. This is going to be hard to absorb, but when you get this, it's easier to walk through life. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. Everyone is entitled to their opinion and saying what they want when they want. The biggest thing, learning lesson and shift for me was, but so am I.
Absolutely.
And I get to choose whose opinion, whose words, whose statement, whose badass attitude I value and take home with me. And I'm going to,
I'm sorry.
No, for sure.
Sometimes it's so subtle, right? Like sometimes, like it took you a minute to like go back and catch that dude was on the other line of the phone. So he knew, sometimes things are so subtle, like we don't catch them in the moment. Hell, I think about how I was, well, maybe I wasn't grown. I knew something was up. I think about the teacher's assistant that we had in first grade.
Right.
Sometimes it takes a minute. Like that woman was straight up racist, right? But it does sort of hit us at some point, and I guess the key to it is sometimes we have to redirect that anger because it will eat you up. You're the only one walking around with it, right? So I love what you said about making light of it. Okay, but go on.
Making light of it. But even with that, you have to ask yourself, is it worth getting angry over? Right? They're entitled to their opinion, but so am I, and I'm going to value my opinion more than I value theirs. And because you do, you keep it moving. Because the reality is, this is Karen Donaldson, right? Not everyone's going to like me. I could have $1,000 and give everyone $100. There will be one person who might say, well, I've known Karen longer than Aaron, so why didn't I get 150 or
right.
Do you understand? My job in the world is not to please everyone around me and make everyone happy.
Right.
Because if you were to do that, you truly lose yourself. It's just not possible. So when you decide that you are okay with you show up respectfully and stop allowing other people's words and actions to influence how you respond. That'll take a minute. I'm going to say it again. Stop allowing people's words and actions and how they treat you to influence how you respond. Because if you respond, they do this and you do this, my friends, they're in control.
You know what? And
they are in control.
It's so true. And like,
yep.
And I find this is easier, and maybe it's easier for me just because of my background, and maybe I'm delusional, and I know this is really difficult because some people just choose to not even associate, period, on any level, you know. But I like what you said about making a game out of it, because I tend to do that with people, because if somebody is like, I shouldn't even say this, but if somebody's like, I know they don't like me, it's like it's a mission. It's like a game. It's like, so I'm like, oh, okay, you don't? Okay. Right. You know? Yeah. And it's not that I care, you know, it's just like, it's just a game, right? So to me, it would be getting them to like let their walls down, to warm up, to say something, to talk. That's a game. And I think treating these sorts of situations in the same way is really a really nice technique and tool. Like you said, I just walk away and I come back and I say, hello, I'm Karen Donaldson. And that might piss off that person, but it doesn't matter. It's funny, you know? Yeah. So it's kind of like if you can make them look like the fool or make them see how ignorant they sound, that is like, what could be more, what's the word I'm trying to see? Like, what could feel better than that after they have said that? Like, it's, what's the word, Karen?
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for gratifying. Yes, gratifying. It's exactly it. What could be more gratifying than to make them look stupid after they know they did what they did, right? Like, they know. And I think even handling it like that instead of calling somebody out and putting them on the defensive, you know, is a teachable moment.
It is. And here's the
without
thing.
Teaching.
Totally. And here's on the flip side of that, everything's situational, because there will be times when you'll have to call someone out and it's not the time to make light of it. You know what I mean? When we talk about mansplaining and that type of thing, where it happens to a lot more women, and definitely women of color, when you're sitting at a corporate table or at literally in a meeting. You don't have to have a corporate title for mansplaining to happen to you. It could be the grocery store or the gas station. So here's a piece I really want people to remember. One piece is to play with it when you get there. The other piece is to ensure that you address it in some manner. So it doesn't have to always outwardly be this. It can be addressing it here, right? So
Right.
I don't want people to ignore it in the essence that you get used to it. I don't want it to become your norm, but you have to decide what you do with these experiences. Otherwise, you internalize those experiences.
That's good.
I want you to deal with it. Remember, dealing with it isn't always, well, saying something like, I don't appreciate what you just said. However, it can be. Dealing with it doesn't always have to be me walking out and walking back in, but it can be. Dealing with it can also be you hearing it in the room and choosing to address it when the meeting's over. It can or can't be. I just want you to acknowledge it. Just acknowledge it. And I want people to make a choice. Like the biggest thing you can do in life in these instances, in these coffee no cream moments and in life is be the person who's always intentionally choosing. Otherwise, you're going with the flow. So when that person says something really rude, our defense mechanism says to yourself, well, I could talk about that ugly hairdo you've been rocking for the past. You understand? you can go there. But I want you to intentionally make a decision.
Yes.
But you're
Absolutely.
not gonna,
and
don't
that
hand
is
over
our
control.
You know we will, right? But that is not
Being
the
honest,
answer.
listen,
That
let's
is
not play. Let's
yes,
just be real.
absolutely. Girl, listen, you need to worry about if that hairdo is calling you back to the salon. You know, I don't know, right? People
Yeah.
say something crazy. But I think what you're saying is so important. And as a woman at a particular age, as we get older, and you have this built up anxiety of just living as a woman, living as a Black woman, for me and you, living as brown, dark skinned Black women, okay? All the stressors that come with that, you know, this stuff really takes a toll on you, right? So I like what you're saying about figuring out what to do with it, because we have so much on our hearts already, right? And you're just walking around with that stress. I remember my dad told me this years ago when I was dealing with this dude, and he was just like, why are you walking around with that? Just say it. Like, why are you walking around with that? And we do so often walk around with things. So
for years sometimes. For years.
and it really affects us. Now,
It can't
the way
not.
you handle it, obviously, Karen is the confidence expert, right? And this woman exudes confidence, and she doesn't let anything get in her way. But for younger women who are trying to get where you are, and this could be a deterrent. This could knock them off their center. This could discourage them, right? Things of this nature. What you've said is really, really good. Do you have any words when it comes to that?
For sure. You're referencing it can knock you off your center, but here's the thing, it doesn't have to. We are so used to what we hear in society or how others have dealt with it that the norm is don't let it knock you down, right? How about having a conversation of stand in the power of who you are? What if everything you're doing is okay? What if you decide to like you and those who don't, they get to as well?
But how do you get there, Karen? How do you get there when you've never been that, right? Like, how do you...
I'll tell you.
Yeah,
Really good question. So I know you're referencing, so I am a confidence coach, and I think I was a pretty confident young person, but I have to tell people this experience so they don't walk away thinking, well, of course she's this good. She does this. No. So I'm from Canada. My last year of high school, I'm a teenage mom. My last year of high school, I got pregnant, and I also got a full scholarship to the States. My whole school knew. Everyone is excited for me. I was excited for myself because when I was going to school in high school, it's harder to get scholarships for U.S. schools. Got it? So I had a full track scholarship. Very few people got it. Whole school excited for me. I went away to Christmas break and I came back and I found out I was pregnant. I lost every flippin' friend who thought I was a slut, who thought I was nasty. They had no clue who my boyfriend was because he didn't go to the school. Thought I was a slut. I was nasty. I remember walking down a hall, and prior to getting pregnant, I was, debate team, good athlete. I was in the band and the choir. So just everything, just liked everybody. And I was walking down the hall, and a teacher who I thought had my back, she said, I couldn't, did you hear? Karen's pregnant. I didn't know she was a slut. This is a teacher that I loved. Ooh. That day I turned around and I walked home. I was so cut to the knees, cut in the heart, everything. And I'd missed some school after I found out I was pregnant because I was really sick during my pregnancy.
Wait a minute. This crazy because I'm sorry, excuse my language, but everybody was right. You just got caught, right? That teacher knew that because they were men. Sorry, go on. This makes me angry.
I just couldn't believe it came out of her mouth. Like a teacher was. I knew my peers, my friends were gossiping about me, and I know no one wanted to sit with me anymore at lunchtime. And when they saw me, everyone's busy in their locker. But a teacher saying that, like talking to another teacher in the freaking hallway for everyone to hear, and that's what she thought of me just because of this. So nonetheless, it's just crazy. I missed some school after that because I was sick, and then because like everyone was like literally no one wanted to talk to me, and prior to that. Like, everyone was my friend. Like, I was friends with everybody.
You were popular.
And, Aaron, there was one day I was walking home from school, and I keep saying this to myself when I share my experience, my story. There was a bus shelter, and I stopped. I didn't live far from the school. I was pregnant, so walking home was fine. I looked at myself in the bus shelter, and I could see my reflection. And then I said to myself, and this is a mantra I've lived with since age 19, words and actions of others do not define you unless you allow them to. Karen, you freaking define you. You were just pregnant now. Karen, you're not diseased. This is what went through my head. I will never forget it. It's just like a stamp. Karen, you are not diseased. You're not contagious. You're only pregnant. You are the same Karen in January, February as you were in September. You're still an AB student. You are still on the debate team. You are still a peer tutor. You are still in the band. You are still a top athlete. You're just pregnant. And if they decide to not like you because of that, that has nothing to do with you. Karen, you need to love yourself and like yourself. Absolutely. That's what happened to me. I don't know. It was a whatever moment you want to call it, but literally saying that to myself. And Aaron, the next day I went back to school, and I'll say it with a chip on my freaking shoulder. I asked the teacher because I started to sit at the back of the classrooms, right? I was always that person. I was not a back of the classroom person. I want to sit up front, center, that type of thing.
Yes, I could see.
But when I got pregnant, I sat at the back. I came in late so no one would see me. I went back to school and I asked them to put a desk at the front with a chair behind it because I couldn't fit behind every single one that they had there, that type of thing. I went to, and at that time, prior to that, I was a captain of the flag football team. Of course, couldn't play flag football. They still had me as a captain, and I still went to all the games, although I was pregnant. I went back and I acted as if, I showed up as Karen. Like, I let them do what they wanted to do, but I am the same Karen, and it didn't matter what they thought, because what I valued, and I'm using this language now, it wasn't this fancy, like, it was, all I used to say to myself is, I'm okay with me. To show up in the world, I don't need everyone to like me. I need to friggin' like me, because after they say something really mean, wicked, nasty, those 5 seconds, I get to choose if I live with it and carry it or let it go. So the work is to ask yourself, when someone does something nasty, so someone says something nasty, what am I gonna do? I want you to choose what you're gonna do. I don't want you to react. I want you to choose what you're gonna do, because if you don't, you react. You give them your power. You hand over your power. And in that essence, you are powerless. No one's going to take my power. No one's going to take my power. So I want you to ask yourself how will, it may not have happened to you, those who are listening. Ask yourself, well, how will I handle it? How will I choose to handle it? And then those of you who it continues to happen to, and I promise you as a Black woman, it's not going to stop. So everyone, really sit with it. Turn off your phone, turn off your devices, turn off your music, and just ask yourself, how will I deal with it when this occurs again? And I want you to intentionally choose how you'll show up, because you get to be you unapologetically.
Now, your story, I'm sure, has happened to many who are listening, who will hear this. That whole teenage mom, teenage pregnancy, hell. You know, there have been shows about it. So I just find it interesting, because I know in the States people were pregnant everywhere in high school.
Big thing for my school.
Really, in your high school, and we're roughly the same age. So at my high school, and it was always the Black girls who were pregnant at my high school. The white girls who got pregnant, because they were there too, they just got it handled, you know? So that was just, but this is very, very common story. So I feel like what you're saying is you've spoken some good stuff into women who are still holding around that that pain, and they've given their power away
do it.
because something happened to them, like they got pregnant or molested or whatever happened to them when they were younger, and they're still holding on to it and letting people to decide. That's still weighing very heavily in their mind and how they proceed and move forward in life. So I think this is really, really good. So interesting. Had no idea I was going to go this way.
Yeah. So, the last piece I want to touch on, because I showed up as Karen, I don't even say powerhouse Karen. I went back to school, the chip on my shoulder. That year I graduated, like 9 months pregnant. I was a valedictorian, and I got the President's Award and the top athletic award, fully pregnant. Because I decided, hear the word?
Yes.
I decided to show up as Karen, the same Karen from September. Just pregnant. That's it.
Wow.
I wasn't going to give you the pregnancy, germs or any type of, I mean, if you thought so, stay away. Because I was walking down the hall.
Yes. So crazy.
Oh my goodness. It's just, people have to really remember, those who this has happened to and you might be carrying it. You are not a product of your past. If someone's saying that, stop that crap. Stop it.
No.
You're a product of your decisions. Like right now, you get to be a product of your decisions. Right? And I do not want to diminish any trauma that people have experienced. However, you get to decide differently for yourself as of right now. And I just really challenge and encourage people to always make the choice to choose. If it's yes, no, maybe, I don't know as yet, I want it to be a decision that you've made for yourself. That's it. Like, that's the powerful piece in this conversation here. Always make the choice to choose.
And to that point, you said trauma, because I just worked out trauma, not 25, we're in 25 now. So in 24, at my age, I'm learning that the racial experiences that I had from 6 were traumatic to me. So I would encourage anyone who has anything happen to them, like if you don't talk to a therapist, talk to your girls, talk to somebody who can help you work through it, because it's very real, it's painful, and these things do affect you, and sometimes you think you're pushing them down and they're not really affecting you, but that's why we're talking about it, because what did you do in that situation and how did you handle it in that situation is a fun story now. But in the moment when it's happening to you, it's not always so fun. It's very hurtful.
Totally.
And it can really take your focus away from what you're really trying to do and who you're really trying to be. One of my last questions to you, Karen, is, well, not quite the last, but would you do anything differently that you did, maybe say the first time this situation happened to you? So...
No, in retrospect, I believe those occurrences allowed me to become the person that I am. And I know that sounds really cliche, but it is.
Well, you didn't act a fool on him. Like,
I
didn't.
Saying.
If you would have cussed somebody clean out, I'm sure
that piece came from my mom. She's like, don't you dare go out and be in them streets trying to,
Girl, my mom probably would have, I'm a grown person. My mom would have called up there to talk to the person.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done anything differently. I would have still held my tongue and handled it with the person, because I was not responsible for that receptionist.
Yeah.
And what I've learned later is, like, those last lingering words that you leave are the most powerful. So how I act and how I end situations is what people remember, right? From a psychological basis. I didn't know that then at that time. But you get to choose how you show up. Just don't give people your power. But no, I wouldn't have acted in any other way.
That's
now that I think about it.
You handled it well. Yeah. Good for you. Kudos, ma'am. You handled it. You handled it well.
Listen, it was tough. In the moment, you're talking to yourself. We all know those conversations. Should I? I can't believe she said it. And you're looking there, sometimes you're like, it's a neutral face, a smiling face, but everything's running through your mind.
Yes.
Everything. Mean, hateful. Right.
Girl, take these earrings off. What we gonna do? Like, are these earrings? Okay.
And it's real.
So takeaway number 1, you said, you're not responsible. You're not there to serve her.
No.
You're not there to serve this person. Like, but I don't know if I would call that a takeaway. But also, I guess one of the takeaways that you said was play with it. Have fun with it.
If you can.
If you can. If you're in the mindset to do that.
And the
right?
situation allows for that, because sometimes it doesn't. Go there. Play with it.
Get it off your chest also. Yep. Handle it. Address it.
Yeah.
Right. Any others? Did I miss any others?
No, that was one. Like always make the choice to choose. Know that you're not responsible for other people's behavior, and the biggest one here is like don't overvalue someone else's opinion over your own. And the last one, maybe I'm jumping the gun. Like words and actions of others do not define you unless you allow them to. You define you. Take control of that.
And that's one of those ones that I find that you have to keep coming back to.
You sure do.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's it, Erin. Like, just be mindful that we're having this conversation here.
Yeah.
I always go through this. Like, I do have to remind myself sometimes, Karen, words and action of others don't define you. Walk away. And then I walk away. Mm-hmm. It is continual work. You're not going to wake up one morning and be fixed. So don't think that, and free of all of it. You just keep working on yourself, and it's working on you and reminding yourself that you're enough. And everyone's entitled to have their opinion, but so am I. Yeah. And choose your opinion. Yeah. That's what I want you to do. Like those are my takeaways, and something that I continually do. So don't think I'm this perfect walking around and can walk into situations. I get in my own head intentionally with the right information, with all those points we just closed with.
Very much, because Black women, we got enough to deal with. If we can get this down,
we sure do.
Nothing can stop us. Nothing. Well, Karen Donaldson, you have been amazing, which was to be expected. Can you let everybody know where to find you, how they can get in touch with you if they want to reach out, get some confidence training?
Indeed. The best place for those of you who are on Instagram, I am at The Real Karen Donaldson. If you want to find my website, Karen Donaldson Inc. inc.com. And if you're moving over to the confidence side, the Global Confidence Academy.com. A whole set of on-demand, self-paced confidence support tools, resources, dealing with imposter syndrome, all that type of stuff. So that's where you can reach out. And just on Instagram, say hello. I heard you on Coffee No Cream. It's me. Just leave a message. Don't just leave a message in my DM.
Yes. And I will put all of this, for those of you watching on YouTube, I will put it down below. And I will also put Karen's handles on the screen. So again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Karen, for joining us. And we will see you in the next episode.
Indeed. Thanks for having me, Erin.